puzzle here, but this poem I have been tweaking for the last month or so. I started it at the early August, and I revised it a little bit then, and then I picked it up back in the last couple of days and fixed it up. And I'm not exactly done with it, but I'm done with it enough for now to publish the current version. They say that you never actually finish a poem, you only ever abandon it, because revision is part of the equation. You can keep polishing and polishing until the cows come home. And the moral of the story of the poem is about returning. It's a return poem. I come from a coastal New England town called Fairhaven. It's next to New Bedford. It's very famous. Not famous, but around here, it's fishing fleet. It's big with the fishing industry. I mean, it's a Fairhaveners. It's in the perfect storm, Sully, when Billy Tynes, what's his name's character? George Clooney's character comes he's trying to whip a team together, and he goes to Sully, who, to try to get him to join his crew, and Sully's like, what are you up to? He's like, I'm mending nets for my friend in Fairhaven, right? Anyway, so there's in New England, in Cape Cod, in Boston, in Massachusetts, you have these two fishing fleets. You have the New Bedford Fairhaveners, and then you have the Gloucestermen. That's Cape Ann and the South Coast. And they've been warring with each other for dominance for, 400 years, since the beginning, since the Pilgrims came. But, you got Moby Dick to tell you who's boss, right? Herman Melville lived in Fairhaven when he wrote about the New Bedford fishing fleet that was the whaler fleet that went out getting sperm whales and shit to get oil before we had oil from the Arabs, when we had them from the fucking whales instead. Anyway, that's where I'm from, Fairhaven. Lots more to talk about there. Going back to old oil, we had Henry Huddleston Rogers was our town benefactor. He brought some heavy shit to the table. We have these Renaissance style buildings all throughout Fairhaven. The high school looks like a castle, town hall, library. He was the benefactor. He was a magnate. He was a tycoon. But he also brought into play this concept called the homecoming fair, which he had noticed that, a lot of Fairhaveners would leave and go out into the world and, never come back. But he wanted to get them to come back. And the whole return aspect was, hey, you need bodies in the field to sell to. But that was one of it. But it was also on a mystical level. People go out into the world and they bump and bruise and they mix and mingle and they gain growth rings of experience, and that's valuable. So he wanted that to be brought back to the home. So he created this thing called the Homecoming Fair, which was an annual event where people were invited to come home and share what they learned, so you come home and you got your eyes glowing because you just got them wide open, fucking illuminated by something that you saw, and you look like Moses coming down from the fucking mountain to your old friends, and you share your shit with them, and they are Moses too, but not as extravagant. They just stayed home and they have something to offer you, and you exchange it, and that's what Homecoming Fair is about. And so that's what this poem is about too. This poem is about the people who haven't returned yet, the people who have absconded but have not returned. I feel that way. I mean, I had a call back to my hometown once a serious call like 13 years ago. Was it 13? 12 years ago. And it was a powerful situation. And there's a lot of like references back and forth from that moment to this moment. I won't go into that now, but this is like my return poem to my hometown. I would urge you to come up with your own return poem to your own hometown. Get back to your roots. You bring your wellspring back to the well, okay? So the poem is called Wherefor the Absconded.
Wherefore the absconded? A slave to this and nothing more, I must live on land but close to shore, though may head inland for some great time, from some time to time, for some long, long whiles, remain away, away and abide all the smiles, looking ever for what calls me more, turning back in a hack of this vehicle sack, for the subtle hints of the passing time. Perhaps gone to meet and on their street greet wonder folk who live so far above the sea, and there mix and mingle as it were, in trade of story and novelty, but make each trade and each folk pure, until such time as when I've bested the betterment of salt in my lungs tested. I will that day descend this mountain rung by rung, returning once more to humble edge salt water's realm, where sea bisects above and below, where old familiar winds sometime unfriendly blow, where gardens round spires are all well kept, where wood for bonfires are not burning yet, where if you step right you may hap on a cowl that shadows a face peering out from its brow, acknowledging grace on behalf of its Tao, but trades none the secrets of the eyes that seen wept. There I will disrobe and discard my clothes, and stand there stripped from head to toes, and taste the long untasted mariner's rain, letting our waters anoint my desiccated skin, remembering how salt shall fall on lips aglow by the furnace heart of mystics, a jolt and a bolt with volt a coursing, to remind and order my core its origin, and incite this regular soul its healing, to then look out upon that lighthouse beacon that points the way by a cardinal's cross to any who slither the ocean's gale, or any who plough the ocean climb, where perhaps, after few genuine observations, there then becomes to me sanguine permeations that find me standing close-eyed, threadbare, with hope to see that burning white Tao which sometimes follows the head of a cow, awaiting the gift of the rose not there, wherefore the absconded, returning home, come fair.
So the first time I returned home like this, after having been away for so long, I had gone back to my hometown unannounced. I went to this Greasy Spoon place. It's Honeydew restaurant, coffee, donuts, that kind of thing. It's an all-nighter place. Sat there drinking coffee. I had my books, my little trinkets, and I was reading and writing, and then suddenly some people came up to me to talk, and they were wearing the cross of the Franciscan cross, the Tau, and I'd never seen it before. Although my mentor in college was a Franciscan, I had never seen it before. And it was just interesting that they came up to me in hindsight. And I learned about that and some other things from them that day. And then I went to the fort at the end of the main roads, Fort Phoenix. And I was there, and somehow I was talking to my stepmother, who was worried about me, but she was also not worried about me. She was talking, and I was listening to her voice. She was talking for a long time. I was listening to her voice and training to the sound of her voice, and training. While I'm looking out at night, it's close to midnight, I'm looking out at the lighthouse, at the beacon light. It's just blinking and blinking and blinking and blinking. And her voice is calling me. And I'm in training. You ever look at something and then unlook at it? You lose all expectations. Have you ever looked at something and just went zoing? You lost the expectation of what you saw, and when you lost that expectation, what actually was there revealed itself. You can still do this now. You can look at anything you want and let your eyes unfocus. You can do it manually, and as you do it manually, it'll cascade into a non-manual situation. Hearing some other noises, sounds, musics could help with that. For me, that moment, I saw multiple visions in the lighthouse beacon. I saw a number of visions, and one of those was a cow's head, a skull. And I started writing this poem last month, and I didn't finish it because I write everything down and then I wait to revise it. It's my process. But in between revising it this month and starting it last month, we had unit turnovers for our rental side of the business, and I went to one property. One of my agents was there first. He goes in, he's like looking it over with me, and then I see this, we get to the kitchen, and there's a skull there. It's just hanging. The tenant had moved out, and he took everything except he left two things. One was this fucking skull, this cow skull. Two was 4 craft beers that were still like all brand new. So the agent that was there with me, like, he took the beers, and I said, "You don't want that, do you?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "That's mine. That is mine. I'm talking about the cow skull head, like the cow skull." I took that, and I was like, this is an Easter egg for me. I've been, like, whenever units turn over, there's any shit left over, that's fucking pirate booty. We take anything. That's pirate booty, okay? I mean, I had a hard-fought battle this summer. This fucking shit was mine. And it's my most prized possession right now, that cow skull. However, it's also, like, prophetic. Like the experience I had 12 years ago, plus this poem that I started to write, I can't ignore that shit. Anyway, I'm not going to ignore it. That's what it is, and I'm playing you the cow skull in the background.